It's the one you've all been waiting for. It's the One UI 7 beta on your Galaxy Z Fold 6. Mostly visual enhancements. We'll talk about how it performs, but there's one feature that was changed that I hope is a sign of things to come for larger form factor devices on One UI 7. We'll talk about all of that today once we turn the camera around and take a look. Yes, you heard that correctly. A One UI 7 beta has come to your positively ancient Galaxy Z Fold 6 hardware, at least that's what you think by the length of time it's taken to get a beta here, but it is running well. There are some things that I was positive about on this. I do like the way it's running. I've had no problems with it on my Galaxy S25 Ultra. I've had no problems with One UI 7 on my Galaxy S24 Ultra in beta, and that's a similar experience in like a day or so of using it on my Galaxy Z Fold 6. First things first, whenever there's a new update with software, how's the battery life? That's the biggest thing that I want to know. That's the biggest question that I have, and I can tell you it's been improved. One UI 7 beta is running well and has great battery life on my Z Fold 6. A day plus of screen on time, or a day plus of battery life, I should say, with plenty of hours of screen on time. In fact, yesterday, I was thankful that I had this charged up and I was testing it because the power went out, lost internet, was able to work the full day on this without issue. I was on Slack, I was on WhatsApp, I was on the internet, I was on Instagram. There was nothing I wasn't able to do on my Galaxy Z Fold 6 yesterday, and I had plenty of battery life to do it. So that was definitely a plus. There's also some new battery settings in One UI 7. You could go in, you have more granular control over the battery safety features, the low power settings. There's a few things that you could do to protect your battery health, and you only charge 80%. There's a few other things that you could go in there, but there's a lot more battery settings now than there was previously in One UI 6, and that's always nice. You always want to have those options, especially if you're a power user. You want to go ahead and you're keeping this for several years. You want to be able to make sure that your battery is going to last the entire time. Of course, the big thing is the visual changes in One UI 7. Lots of different things. Widgets and folders. You have the sizable widgets now, which is nice. You could kind of go through, and even on the home screen here on the outer display, you could kind of go ahead and size these widgets differently than you would have in the past. I do like the folders option. I do like being able to have a folder be a little bit bigger. That's something that you like on a larger screen. You want to be able to see what's in your folder. You want to be able to have it take up more of the screen. That's something that you're going to enjoy on there. So it's about time. The big one for me, app drawer. Phenomenal. I mean, what an experience. It's great on just the regular slab phones, but to be able to swipe up on this big display, big gorgeous display, and just have all the apps just sitting there to be able to scroll through it is a glorious experience on the Z Fold 6, something that I wish we had years ago on these folds, of course, but it's better late than never, I guess. And just look at that. That's the way that it's supposed to be on this, and I really like when you could talk about visual changes all you want. And there are some of the things I don't like the split notification, which you could turn off with that when you swipe down. You can have kind of it combined once again into the quick settings and notification shade. But this is something that's a big deal. This and widgets and folders and those things that you're able to do now with customization are just a nice visual refresh on the One UI software. And it's not just a pretty face, right? There's more to it than that. It is functional, especially something like the app drawer, which I really like. You get the Now bar. The Now bar is here. I got to admit, it hasn't done a whole heck of a lot on my Fold 6 just yet. We'll see what happens there. It is interesting on the Samsung side, just a quick aside, that you can have the Now bar doesn't need the personal data engine of the Snapdragon 8 Elite, but Now Brief, which I would argue does less right now, does. I'm not that worried about if Now Brief doesn't come to the Fold 6. At least there's the Now bar. There are the things that, the enhanced routines. They're not the generative routines that I've seen so far, but you do have better routines, all the One UI 7 things. You can do if-then stuff. There's a lot of customization, believe it or not, when you get into the kind of the nitty-gritty and into the weeds of this operating system, that you could do a lot of stuff with One UI 7. It is actually very powerful software. So I can respect that Samsung kind of from the ground up redid a lot of the ways that it does stuff. And you do need, you do have to use good lock on a lot of stuff, but there are a lot of things that you could tweak and customize on One UI 7. So I think from that standpoint, it is probably the most customizable Samsung software to date. Let's go into the camera app. This is if you've used an S25 Ultra, if you've used the beta on your S24 Ultra, you're familiar with the new camera app. Desperately needed fresh coat of paint on the camera app, but then again, it's a coat of paint that lends itself to more functionality. This is the setup that you want. This is a nice clean layout. I know when the focal lengths I want to get to. I know I have my settings on the side here. It's not just the mess that it used to be. Yes, it are the fonts. You've seen them before on other phones. That's fine. But this is a much needed change and a much welcome change. And now it comes to your Z Fold 6 as well. Lock screen stuff. Look, it's going to change regardless of what your default is. It's going to change it to icons where it literally puts these icons that you normally look at on your always on display, makes them smaller and puts them in the upper left-hand corner of the display. Not good. I can barely tell when I have a notification that I need to look at. So you could go into settings, go into the lock screen notification settings and change it to cards. And when you change it to cards, we'll go ahead and visualize that now. We'll go in here and there's a lot going on. So it's lock screen notifications, screen notifications. Oh, I can see it. There we go. Oh, it's at the bottom there. Notifications. There it is. And you're going to go lock screen notifications, and here it is. So this is what you're going to change. By default, it's icons, which puts them in the top left-hand corner of the display. Not good. Go over to cards. It's the stuff that you're used to on your always-on display, which is nice, and you can get back to that. So some enhancements there. Of course, Good Lock, you could go in and do a lot more than that. I changed that one back. Here's something that I liked, and it's a small thing, and most people aren't even going to use it, but if you go into Samsung My Files, this is something that was changed. You go into Images, now you're going to get, it's going to use the space a heck of a lot better than it was. It's going to be able to sit there, and the right side of the screen, so the left side becomes your regular browser type format where you can have images, videos, audio files, documents, APKs, internal storage, OneDrive, Google Drive. You could do all that stuff here, but you're going to get a full preview over here, and you could click in and you could get the actual items on it. You could see the time and the date and the things that were modified. You could get more information about your files over here, and that's a specific thing for larger screen devices. And that's something that I wish Samsung would lean into, and we'll wait for the full release, okay? So I'm not going to jump down Samsung's throat for that. And it's also not a Samsung-specific issue. Every foldable manufacturer is struggling with this. Every single one, with the exception of OnePlus, and now they're nowhere to be found as far as larger foldables are concerned. This is an issue. They have to transform. I hear this conversation all the time. Well, why haven't foldables really kind of gone for mass adoption? Why isn't it where you see more of these in the wild? That's because you really don't have a use case that justifies the extra added cost. There's no reason why, unless you're a tech enthusiast, to carry one of these around. Yes, it's nice for multitasking. Yes, it's nice for productivity. Yes, it's nice if you're a business owner to have email up on one side and have a chat with your Slack team on the other side. And there are things, but they're very specific, and you're talking a massive premium. $700, $800 premium over the largest Samsung Galaxy flagship that you can get. So that's something that you have to look at. I personally think I'm more excited for the Trifold Samsung device than I am the Bifold device. Because the Trifold, when you get that 16:9, 16:10 aspect ratio, you're getting, and you pair it with the Snapdragon 8 Elite, you're getting desktop class, we can hope, all right? The developers have to follow along with this. You're getting desktop class applications on the go. You're getting all that power, hopefully better battery life on that screen. That kind of solves the problem because you're not worried about it just being a large content consumption device. You're not worried about it just being a big smartphone. There's plenty of uses for something like that. You can have those desktop class applications on a larger display. This one, you really can't do that. But I wish that software manufacturers would get more creative with their software to make it a different experience. If you offered me a legitimately different software experience and somehow leverage this form factor into a way that feels less like I'm just using my phone the way I normally would, but it's on a big screen, which is great. Fantastic for enthusiasts like me. But most people going in there are not going to spend $800 extra on something like this. So while that's a step in the right direction, adding some utility there for My Files, I really want to see Samsung lean into that. In future update releases, whether it's One UI 7, One UI 8, give me a reason why I'd want to buy a Fold 6 other than just it's a large screen. Give me a reason why I'm going to sit there all day and open this up and be able to leverage the space differently. Multitasking desperately needs a rethink on these. Open canvas should be the minimum of what Samsung does in the future with this, being able to swipe and get different aspect ratios and different sizes for apps as I go along with multitasking. So there's a lot of work to be done. That was slightly encouraging that there was at least one feature. When I was reading through the changelog, I'm like, whoa, cool. Something that's actually designed for larger screen devices. Let's hope that continues. But overall, a positive experience. One UI 7, I can have my notes. We haven't mentioned Galaxy AI a lot. Yes, the Galaxy AI enhancements have come to this. Galaxy AI has its own conversation. I can be as down on Galaxy AI as I want. I'm not as down on One UI 7. One UI 7 is really nice software. It just has to come out to these devices. But now we've got word that it will be coming out in April, starting to come out in April. So who knows when your trusty Z Fold 6, your ancient old chipset, Z Fold 6. Who knows when Samsung will grace us with software on this dinosaur. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have the Steve-licious day.